Hello, my name is Andrew Cardarelli and I'm running to be your next representative on the Carver Board of Selectmen. Let me tell you a little about myself. My wife Maureen and I have been Carver residents for the last 10 years. I'm also currently the Vice Chairman of the Carver Finance Committee. I grew up and went to school in Quincy, Massachusetts. I was taught the value of a dollar at a young age by my parents, and if I wanted something, I had to work for it. I worked after school, on weekends, on vacations, and that continued with full-time employment after graduation. After a few years, I decided to go back to school to further my education, starting with an associate's degree in liberal arts with a science concentration from Quincy College. I had always loved the sciences, especially physics, and thought about a career in that field. I decided to work for a year or two to save some money before I continued my education full-time, which I was going to have to pay for myself. In that time, I found myself in a secure position at a large local company making a good living, and like many people, my plans of going back to school and out of state took a back seat to staying with the woman who would become my wife and to being happy, which I was. My wife Maureen and I got married in April in 1996 on top of Buck Hill in the Blue Hills Reservation with a 60-mile view on every side of us in a very small ceremony. This year we are celebrating our 18th wedding anniversary. Maureen and I specifically chose the town of Carver to be our home for a multitude of reasons. We chose Carver for its low crime rates and its unique rural character. We chose Carver because it wasn't overdeveloped with homes so close together that experiencing any type of privacy in your own yard is nearly impossible, which we both encountered growing up in the city of Quincy. We chose Carver because it wasn't and probably would never be a congested urban area. We chose Carver because we both loved the country and choosing a permanent home in the city was never an option for us. We chose Carver for the ever-present charm of the cranberry farms and the unique sight of their harvest each fall. We also chose Carver for the same reason that many other happy American couples that aren't independently wealthy and who both have to work to make ends meet choose to buy homes in specific towns: the price. At the time, the affordability of the average home in Carver compared to other towns closer to Boston was much less and was a nice additional benefit to our decision to move away. When we saw our house for the first time that we purchased in 2004, we knew we were home. We've loved living here ever since. We knew taxes were a little higher than surrounding towns, but it was manageable. Since then, our property taxes have gone up every year without much to actually show for it, though. 3 years ago, I finally decided to stop complaining and do something. I volunteered to become a member of the Carver Finance Committee. Though I'm not an accountant or a CPA, I do understand economics and budgets. As a member of the Carver Finance Committee, I've learned quite a lot, not only where your money is going and what the town's expenses are, but how our town government works and even a few of its failings. I've been blessed to have other intelligent people who also care about the town as fellow committee members with me. And last year I was nominated to be the Carver Finance Committee's Vice Chairman and was unanimously approved by my fellow members, committee members. Being a regular blue-collar guy by choice, like many of you watching this right now who make an honest living working with your brains and your hands, I was truly honored by this. In my time on the Finance Committee, I have had a tendency to ask town management and department heads why not, what if, when it comes to spending our tax dollars. I have been and will continue to be a constant proponent for fiscal responsibility, for limiting spending, and for reminding officials in Town Hall that Carver residents do not have unlimited funds. I believe in being pragmatic and cautious when it comes to spending or possibly obligating residents to any future debt. In addition to being your voice for fiscal responsibility in Town Hall, I have also been a tireless advocate for protecting your property rights against potential invasive town bylaw adoptions such as the Stretch Energy Code, which equates to nothing more than a disturbing overreach by town officials into our private lives and what we do with our homes and our money in the name of a relatively small grant, enforcing new homes and new home additions to be quote-unquote green by forcing people to buy certain windows, certain doors, insulation, etc., and forcing people to submit to energy audits by state government officials. The stretch energy code is going to be reintroduced by some in town hall, and I'll be a voice against it for you. In the same vein, I've continuously stood up against irresponsible and inappropriate industrial and commercial development in residentially zoned areas of town, such as the large-scale industrial solar power generation project in the Great Meadow neighborhood. This project was continuously pushed ahead without regard to how residents and their property values would be affected by the very people in town hall that are charged with protecting them. Protecting the people and their property is the very first job of any person working in government, any level of government. And if I'm elected, I will never let anyone in town hall forget it. Carver is facing many serious issues that have been kicked down the road for far too long. The largest of these is the elementary school issue, which I believe has to be addressed in some way now. I believe the very first step is to go back to square one, give the people of Carver every option to correct this issue, including the transparency of how much it will cost them in their tax bills before they go to vote for it. Maybe with our current fiscal challenges, it means we start again with a plan for the school that the entire community can afford, and that they will get behind, and we will stop the us versus them mentality that still prevails in this town and on this subject. There are people in this town that have tried to slate me as anti-school without ever speaking to me once. This is just not true. And if anyone tells you that, they are only spreading rumors and hearsay. My point is, we need to investigate and consider every funding option that will lessen the tax burden on the people for this project, instead of just automatically hitting the taxpayers with 100% of Carver's portion right off the bat because it's easier for town officials. Well, I'm not interested in making things easier for town officials. I'm interested in protecting the people of Carver. In closing, I believe the time has come to have a long, hard look at what kind of town we want Carver to be. I believe that it's time to elect someone new into a leadership position that will respect and represent all of Carver's citizens, rich or poor, retired or just starting out, no matter what collar you wear to work. Everyone deserves an equal voice and equal respect in town hall, no matter who you are. Or do we want more people that will promise you the world to get elected and then not even attempt to find avenues for paying for it, paying for the debt they want to incur on you, other than further raising our taxes? My two opponents, though nice men personally, are running as a team. Neither of them have stood up for you or put themselves out there and tried to protect your personal property rights, your property values, and your finances in the face of controversial issues, as I have in the past, not only as a Carver Finance Committee member, but as a proud citizen of the town of Carver. I'm asking for your support and your vote at the polls on April 26th. It's time to bring common sense, fiscal responsibility, and an eye towards responsible growth back to Carver so people can not only afford to come here, but they can afford to stay here. Thank you very much. Good night.
Hello, I'm Ron Clark, and I'm running for the Board of Selectmen. After having served 3 terms as a Carver Selectman and knowing the time and effort it takes to do the job properly and to the best of my ability, I did not make the decision to run for the Board of Selectmen again lightly. I decided to run in 2014 for several reasons, not the least of which was to use my experiences and abilities to help guide the town through what could be some difficult days ahead. A solid, unified board should provide leadership that the citizens can respect and support, and have faith that the board's decisions are in the best interest of the town. Our new town administrator has emphasized the need for civility as we conduct the business of the town, and I believe that is the way that we can and must conduct ourselves. The town should be able to look to the Board of Selectmen with confidence, not questions. I moved to Carver in 1986, 28 years ago, with my wife of 36 years, Sharon, my son Jason, and my daughter Jessica. Both Jason, class of '97, and Jessica, class of 2002, went through the Carver school system and went on to graduate from college. They are both happily married. Jessie and her husband Blake have a beautiful daughter Zoe, who's 17 months old and expecting a second baby. Jason and his wife Karen are expecting their first child, a daughter, Winnie, this May. My work experience has been in the commercial insurance field, ranging over 34 years with Liberty Mutual companies. I spent 20 years selling large commercial accounts, managed the New England sales division for 9 years, and have spent the last 5 years as a territory manager. All 3 of these positions have involved the responsibility to generate and manage millions of dollars of premium, and as New England sales manager, I was responsible for the hiring, administration, and evaluation of the staff. I graduated from Harvard University with honors in 1977, having majored in government. I have a broad range of experience in our local town government. In addition to 3 terms in the Board of Selectmen through the mid-90s and early 2000s, I've served in the Finance Committee, School Committee, Earth Removal Committee, Board of Directors of the Council on Aging, and a member of the Friends of the Council on Aging. I'm also a member and past president of the Carver Lions, and am a member of the First Parish Church in Plymouth, where I've also held leadership roles. There are many policy and fiscal issues facing the town today. The decisions of the board should not only consider the needs and concerns of the town, of our citizens today, but the board also has the responsibility and obligation to have a vision of the needs and concerns of future generations. It's not just about us. There's an old saying, a society grows great when old men plant trees whose shade they know they will never sit under. We need to take care of today and take care of tomorrow as well. To that end, here are a few of my positions on issues facing the town today. We need to either renovate the existing elementary school or build a new one. We need to explore every possible financing alternative, but at the end of the day, if the only viable option is to support a 20-year debt exclusion to renovate or build a new school, I will support it. Access to a quality public education is and has been the cornerstone of American democracy since our founding. Our elementary school building complex is now ranked among the worst in the state of Massachusetts. We need to move forward with a new school for our students today and for tomorrow's students. Protecting our school system includes protecting the physical plant, ensuring that Carver remains a desirable, invaluable town to live in. I also support the hiring of a detective and school resource officer for the next fiscal year, and place doing so at the highest level of our spending priorities. This presence will help address the drug problem, which in Carver, as in surrounding towns, has reached crisis proportions. The police chief feels that with these additional resources, his department will be able to make strides to reduce the drug trafficking in town that has led to so many tragic losses already. Placing a resource officer in the schools will also provide some additional protection and security within our schools. For these reasons alone, these are priority hirings. In recent years, the Council on Aging, due to a variety of reasons, has found its budget significantly reduced and its mission to help the senior citizens in Carver compromised as a result. The staff, including its part-time director, have worked very hard and have been incredibly successful in managing to deliver services to our seniors in the face of this financial hardship. As we go forward, we have an obligation to provide additional support to assist the Council on Aging in meeting its mission of serving the needs of our seniors. The Board of Selectmen's emphasis needs to be on sound financial planning for the long-term success of Carver. This means making difficult decisions, likely with significant short-term pain. But making these decisions today will make Carver a better place to live in the future. We cannot afford not to react to financial issues that face us. We must be proactive, anticipate them, and develop plans to deal with them. Everything needs to be on the table for discussion. We need to think outside the box. Carver's a rural town. We want to remain a rural town, and therefore the burden of supporting town services will always fall on us. The Board of Selectmen has an obligation to make the best financial decisions and recommendations that it can to ensure that every tax dollar is spent wisely, and that it does need to be spent. Our budget must be developed with frugality in mind so as not to be burdensome to our citizens, but it must also enable us to provide the best for all those who make Carver their home. I ask for your vote on Saturday, April 26, between 8 a.m. and 6 p.m. One vote can make a difference. Thank you for listening, and have a great day.
Hello, my name is Alan Dunham, and I'm running for Selectman to represent all the people of Carver on the Board of Selectmen. A little bit about me: I was raised in Carver, going through the Carver school system, and I even worked on cranberry bogs to earn spending money. After high school, I entered college for a year and a half and then joined the United States Air Force, in which I served for 10.5 years. I was finally able to move back to Carver with my wife and children in 1993. Growing up, my father always told me that it's important to give back to the community where you live. My father not only talked that talk, he walked that walk by serving on the Finance Committee, the School Committee, and finishing his service to Carver as Treasurer Tax Collector for many years. When we moved back to Carver, I too felt it was right to give back to the community. So I joined the Carver Fire Department. I had the honor and privilege to serve the citizens of Carver for 20 years as a member of the fire department. But firefighting is a younger person's job, and it's time to find another way for me to serve Carver. For me, being a member of the Board of Selectmen is the best way that I can serve all the residents of Carver. Carver is facing many challenges, and if elected to the board, I'm ready and able to help Carver meet these challenges. Of the challenges, there are 3 that I feel are at the top of the list. First is a new elementary school, not only for the current generation, but a school that will serve the next generation and the next and the next. There have been several attempts over the years to replace the existing primary elementary school that, unfortunately, have not come to pass. Up until now, it has been said by some that we cannot afford a new school. Well, I say that we can no longer afford not to build a new elementary school. It's true that we must look at every possible solution to finance the school. A common refrain has been, we can only vote for a new school as long as it doesn't raise taxes. However, after investigating all methods to try to finance it, we may come down that we may need a debt exclusion to complete the funding of the school. If it comes to needing a debt exclusion, it'll take a supermajority of the Board of Selectmen to place that exclusion on a ballot in order to give all the residents in town a chance to voice their opinion whether to go forward. Given that there are 5 members of the board, it'll take 4 members to vote in favor of placing a debt exclusion on the ballot. I encourage you to ask each candidate running for selectman if he will commit to voting in favor of placing a debt exclusion, if it is needed, on the ballot. If it's determined that a debt exclusion is needed to complete the funding, I will vote to place that debt exclusion on a ballot for the voters. Another challenge facing Carver is the current drug problem. While drugs are not a problem unique to Carver, we must, as a community, do everything in our power to combat this plague which is killing our young people. Steps are being taken to combat this problem. The group Mobilizing the Community is a tremendous start, and I'm proud to be a member of this group, along with almost 100 other members of the community. But more needs to be done. The Board of Selectmen, as the elected leaders, must continue to support and encourage groups such as this. The board needs to fully support the police department, schools, and groups such as Mobilizing the Community to work together in this fight. As a member of the Board of Selectmen, I will continue to strongly support these efforts and groups. Now, while there are other issues facing Carver, the North Carver Water District, possibly reorganizing some of the town departments and functions, and developing industrial areas to bring more business to town in order to broaden the tax base so as not to have the residential homeowner bear the brunt of the tax burden. But there's another area that needs to be working much better. A group within the town that, if they do not work as a team for the town, it has a negative impact on the entire town. That group is the Board of Selectmen themselves. As the elected leaders of town, the Board of Selectmen set the tone for many other departments and groups within the town. The board must work as a team for the betterment of every resident in town, not just for one group or another. Often over the past years, the board has at least given the impression of basing decisions based on the leanings of one group or another and not making a decision that's in the best interest of the entire town. Too often, when an item comes before the board that divides the board, instead of discussing the various opinions, each member briefly states his or her position and then a vote is taken. There's no effort to actually discuss the issue and try to come up with some middle ground. In other words, there's rarely any effort to reach a compromise or consensus. Too often, the members of the board talk at each other as opposed to talking to each other. This is not just a problem with the Board of Selectmen, it's a problem when trying to solve disputes within groups within the town. There's a lot of talking at each other, but little in the way of talking with or to each other. As a member of the fire department, one of the positions I held was being on the recruit training team. Each year we would get a new class of recruits. These would be men and women from very different backgrounds, and most times were strangers when starting the class. We as trainers not only taught them firefighting skills, but taught them to work together as a team, working together for a common goal, helping them improve their strengths. It is this experience of working as a member of a team, working towards a single goal, that I will bring as a member of the Board of Selectmen. If the town is to work through the challenges that are facing the town now and those that will face in the future, the Board of Selectmen must work together as a team, always work for what's in the best interest of the town and not just to make one group or another group happy. Too often, the board is given the appearance of having already made up their minds of how they're going to vote prior to the meeting itself. I'm a firm believer of not making a final decision until after all the information on a matter has been discussed and brought forward. After all, isn't that the whole idea of having an agenda item? Bring the item before the board, have an open and honest debate from both sides of an issue, the pros and cons, and then, only then, make a decision on which way to vote. I believe the current board has come to recognize these shortcomings as they work to develop a code of conduct for the Board of Selectmen. However, if the current board does not adopt a code of conduct prior to the election, and I'm fortunate enough to be elected to the board, I pledge my full support in adopting a code of conduct for the new board as the official policy of the Board of Selectmen. In closing, if elected to the board, I pledge to work tirelessly to see a new elementary school built in Carver for this generation and generations to come. To work with the police department and other groups to continue the fight to rid our community of drugs. To work with other members of the Board of Selectmen as a team for the betterment of the entire town. And finally, I will cast votes that are for the betterment of all of Carver, not for one group or another, but for all the residents of Carver. I thank you for watching, and if you'd like more information on my positions or just want to ask me a question, please go to my Facebook page, Alan Dunham for Carver Selectmen, or you can also call my cell at 508-648-0851. I ask for your support and your vote on Election Day, April 26th. And I ask that you make sure that you do get out and vote. And if you're not going to be available on Election Day, stop by the town clerk's office and make sure you get an absentee ballot. Thank you very much for watching.
Hi, I'm Jim Hoffman and I'm running for the Planning Board. My wife and I have lived in Carver for 24 years. We have raised our 3 children, Adam, 21, Rachel, 19, and Kyle, 7, here in Carver. During my time here in Carver, I have served on the Recreation and Open Space Committee, as well as coached Carver youth baseball, basketball, and girls softball. All 3 of my children have been or are students in the Carver school system. I am well aware and totally agree that a new school is needed and have seen this firsthand. Building a new elementary school is critical for the education of our children in this town, as well as bringing more families to Carver and increasing our property values. One of the reasons we bought a home in Carver was its rural character. We need to better utilize the current industrial commercial zones we have, while still maintaining that rural character that brought most of us to Carver. The next few years will be very important in expanding more diverse opportunities that will help create stable tax revenue. We need to find ways to offset the deficits created by projects such as the North Carver Water District and future needs such as the new elementary school and updating the middle high school. I believe a fresh point of view is the first step in moving forward. By definition, the duty of a planning board member is accurately assessing growth and development plans and considering their immediate and long-term impact on the overall community. Communicating concerns with developers and private citizens who wish to build or expand properties is an important part of the job. I don't feel this has been done properly in the recent past. I've always told my children that if they don't like how things are done, to do something about it. I am practicing what I preach and running for the planning board. If elected, I will make sure I take the time to review all regulations and requirements and view each project brought before the planning board from all sides concerned, while holding the abutters' safety, health, and welfare as my first consideration. As a resident of Great Meadow Drive and a direct abutter to the Borrego solar array off of Purchase Street, I have witnessed firsthand how this important aspect of a project can fall to the wayside in an attempt to bring business into Carver. My only interest is in the betterment of the town. If anyone has any further questions or comments, you can visit my Facebook page, Jim Hoffman for Carver Planning Board, or call me direct at 866-7012. Thank you for your time, and I would appreciate your vote on April 26th.
Hello, my name is Robert Belbin, and I'm running for the Redevelopment Authority in Carver. I've been married to my wife for over 20 years. I've been a resident here for 13 years. I have a son, James, a son, Christopher, and a daughter named Gabrielle. And we have a dog, Boxer, named Madison. A couple years ago, I ran for the Redevelopment Authority as a write-in candidate and won. I want to continue being your representative on the Redevelopment Authority. Over the past couple of years, I have introduced some new ideas for the Redevelopment Authority, some that they've never thought about before. One of the first things I helped with the Redevelopment Authority was developing a secretary's policy, because the Redevelopment Authority had no policies or procedures in place. Now, with that secretary's policy, I, as the secretary for the Redevelopment Authority, became the sole person that filed all of the meeting agendas. I did all the meeting minutes, and I posted them online. This was all done at no cost of the town of Carver. I've also, with my ideas, have put out a Ben Bargain Paint program that the Redevelopment Authority has used once already, and we're going to have it again this year, where you can save $20 a gallon on paints from Aubuchon's Hardware in Carver. Other ideas that I've placed is to have the signs of Carver for directions from different businesses all consolidated into one signpost. Therefore, the town can sell those spots to the local businesses. One of the other ideas I had for this town is to help out our senior citizens. To any senior citizen that has problems with their home, that maybe we can go ahead and give them a little assistance in the upkeep and maintenance of their homes. And in return, that when or if they sell their home, that the Redevelopment Authority will have that money given back to us so we could help somebody else later on. As a Redevelopment Authority member, I value all of the town residents. I want to make our town open to our government. I want to make sure that residents know who, what, when, where, how, and why your money is spent. The Redevelopment Authority gains their money from the sale of properties here in Carver. We take 10% of those funds, and we use those to help out other residents here in the town. I have been proud to serve the past 2 years on the Redevelopment Authority, and I hope to serve another 5 years with your vote. Again, thank you very much. I appreciate your vote. Please come out. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Paula Kibbe, and I'm running for re-election for my third term on school committee. I'm seeking re-election because I want to continue to leverage the knowledge and experience I've gained to move us together as a community to provide the best educational opportunities and environment for our children. After 2 terms, 6 years on the school committee, I'm still learning. There are so many laws we have to understand and adhere to, so many budgetary challenges we face, and policies that must be followed. But I remain dedicated to helping fulfill the mission statement of the Carver Public Schools, to provide a challenging, comprehensive education in a safe environment where all students are respected as individuals. Although by law, school committee must act as a committee, and we aren't able to act individually on behalf of the committee, I do my part individually to share my passion for our children and education. I do this by attending events related to education and policy, speaking to our legislators about key issues such as unfunded mandates, and serving on the Mobilizing the Community Task Force about drug prevention and awareness. I have 2 sons in our school system, and I work not only on their behalf, but on behalf of all the children in our town who deserve the best education possible to set them up for success in the 21st century and beyond. I also care deeply about our teachers and the hard work they do on a daily basis to deal with buildings that are aging, class sizes that are increasing, and a host of other issues. Our teachers are passionate about education and our children. Being an educator now is very different than it was years ago. Although there are many great strides being made, the new way of educating provides challenges as well. I'm also on school committee in hopes that I might make a small difference on behalf of the teachers who work so tirelessly for us. I ask not only for your vote, but for your support in coming together as a community for all our children and our teachers to find a way to help us all succeed in creating leaders of the future. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Andrew Solivoda. I live at 14 Gate Street and I'm running for school committee. I want to first thank CCAT for having us in, giving us the opportunity to reach the public like this, the open, nice forum like this. Thank you. I'll start off by going into my personal background and then I'll end with why I'm running, and I'll try to break that into a 7-minute quick synopsis. To start my personal background, I have lived in Carver my whole life. I graduated class of '99. I then went on to Salve Regina University, graduated class of 2003 with a degree in business, and I also met my wonderful wife, Melinda. From that point on, I kind of entered the sales world. I had to sell Melinda on moving to Carver. And I did that, and now we are at a point in our lives where Melinda's a 5th grade teacher. I work for Comcast in the advertising department, and we have 2 fabulous boys. I have a 4-year-old Landon and a 2-year-old Tyler, and they're a lot of the reason why I'm running. But I'll break into the why in a second. A little bit more about my background. I also am the coach of the boys soccer team here at the high school, the varsity assistant with Mark Alessandre. That's a true passion that I have, and those guys mean a ton to me. So it's kind of one of those things where you say, get involved, guys, do the right thing, and you kind of got to practice what you preach in a way. So I figured, here we go. 33, I figured this is a good opportunity to get involved in a community that I grew up in. And it's also an exciting time. So now I'll break into why. I'm running because in the next few years we'll have hopefully the start of a new school. In 2016, Ms. Sorrell will be moving on from her position. So we'll have a new superintendent, and a lot of change will be going on. And change is a good thing. And in a community like this where it's small, it's close-knit, and at the end of the day, that was what I grew up with. So I know what that is, and I also know that I wanted to take away from this that I thank the people that got involved when I was growing up. Because when you're growing up, you don't realize what that really meant. Those people gave of their time. They didn't get money back for what they did. They did it because they wanted to. They got involved, and you have to do that in a small community like this. And now I have the young children, and I know that the next step for me is to get involved. And I hope I teach the next group that they get involved. And that's what's going to make Carver grow as a community. I just really want to instill the pride. Every fall, the kids throw on their jerseys, and they have Carver written across the chest. And we need to get that back. That pride that what we had, I know I had it when I was younger here, and I know a lot of my friends that are now here with children in town know what I'm talking about. That there was some pride, and we need to get that back, and with the new school hopefully on the horizon, there'll be some good movements. There's a lot of change going on in filling different seats, and that's good to see. Change is not a bad thing, and I really want to be a part of that change, and I want my kids to know that I did what you're supposed to do as a dad and get involved. So thanks for the time, thanks for listening, and when you see my name in the ballot box, just know that's somebody that cares about Carver and cares about where we're going. Thanks.